Welcome, everyone. This session is being recorded. This is the I.D.E.A Award question and answer information session. I am Tia Anthony. I'm your Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coordinator, and I will be your moderator for today. I'm going to give each panelist, we have a group of panelists from the SLC, from advising, from art education, and the library, and student representation. Hey, student. As well as SLC, to give answers, feedback, suggestions for our current I.D.E.A award, how to get started, what the research process looks like, answer any questions that may come up, and maybe help with a little bit of ideation. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll call on a panelist and give you a few minutes to either present or open for questions, as well as maybe kind of just run down the best practices. Okay. I'm going to start with the SLC and then move over to advising and then open it up to our student representative, Hope, and then open up for questions and answers. Okay. At any time, if you have a question and you may not remember it, when we do open up for the question and answer portion, please drop it in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat and presenting those questions near the end. So to open up, the I.D.E.A award is officially available for all RIMCAD students as well, and that includes military students. Yay! Fantastic. Thanks for feedback from our RIMCAD community that we have now found an inclusive way to incorporate all of our students. The I.D.E.A award is listed on the RIMCAD toolkit. And once I turn it over to the panelists, I'll drop all of those links in there where you can find the award, how to apply for the award, and emails from everyone that's in the panel. You have more questions. And how to set up an appointment for the SLC. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. I'd love to start with Catherine. I know you have a presentation. Catherine Novak.
I do. I was not expecting you to start with me.
Oh, it's all right.
All right, let me get set up here real quick.
Right.
Oh, whoops.
While Catherine is getting set up, I'd like to ask everyone to make sure that you are muted. Once again, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. And remember to respect one another, and we will do the same. All right.
Tia, can you give me hosting capability?
I sure can.
Thanks.
All right. Fantastic. Let's get started. I'm going to turn my camera off so I can get all these links to you guys.
Okay. All right. So this is, some of you know, my first couple of months at RIMCAD, but this is definitely my first I.D.E.A award. And so I'm a little unsure of the process and kind of what to expect. And so I probably have just as many questions as students do. But so I just went through from a tutor point of view, kind of the help that I can give, some ideas on the topic, and maybe just an interior designs perspective. So the topic is persistence, and the things that come to mind with that is Think about who you are as a member of each of your communities. People identify sometimes as lots of things. And don't just think of yourself as, artist community. It could be, as Tia was saying, it's now open to the military. So that community, whatever communities that you're a part of. What are your values and which of these communities do they come from? Think of a time you were tenacious, firm in your belief system, or defined an opposing force, or defied an opposing force, my apologies. And then what is your artist statement? I think that's going to be a huge part of this process, and probably where students want to start is an artist statement and what kind of artist they are. And then the other part of that too is think about, it might be hard for students to identify maybe this early on, what kind of artists they are. And so I always like to look to artists that I really like and admire, and then what are their values and what attracts me to those people that I do admire. And so as far as I understand it, there are two options. A couple of questions here as to the first option, how that is being presented, the 3 to 5 pieces. And then on the second option, my question about supporting the statement is how many completed works need to be that? So is it also 3 to 5? And I'm sure somebody will answer that for me at some part of this meeting. And then I think just along the way, it's really important to always keep in mind what the actual topic is, and that's persistence. So for applying, I also had a question about what the cumulative grade point average is supposed to be. Like, do we have a requirement, a limit, or whatever? And then how to present your work. So make the pages, boards, what have you, dynamic. We want them to be fun and interesting to look at. We want them to be storytelling, be cohesive within the projects, the writing, and the way in which you display. Show progress work and sketches. Artists, instructors, whoever, we really like to see that process work. We like to see where it started from, whether it was just a little squiggle on a paper to what it's become in its final process. And then tell the story of who you are. And then don't forget the purpose, again, persistence. And so resources are very important. There are many of them at RIMCAD. And so the Student Learning Center is, of course, one of them. Chloe can help with the structure and citations of the papers. We can all help with feedback and critiquing, depending on what your subject matter is. We're all specific to helping in certain categories. And then the library and database, Catherine in the library and Martha are great resources for that to help students navigate the databases. And then specialty computer programs, dependent on what the students' degrees are in. One of us at the SLC can help with being more fluent in that program. And then Adobe. And Adobe has lots of great ways of presenting and putting together material. And so I use Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator probably on a daily basis. And the image in the top, just so that you know, is something that I created using InDesign just really quickly, just to kind of show what you can do with it in a really quick way. And then that picture underneath, I just loved, and I put the link there so people can go check out that artist because he does amazing things. I just loved how dynamic it was. And then again, with the sketching and putting your ideas out there and maybe making it really, organized or really messy and look like a collage. I think both are equally important and perfectly dependent on what kind of artist you are. And so both are a good way to to put your work out there. Neither is wrong or right. And then that link down there is actually a great link for the sketchbook ideas, and it was a really great article about how to like lay out your work and things like that, if anybody's curious about layout specifically. InDesign is a great tool to use for layout specifically, again, because it can help you do that kind of unorganized collage looking, or it can help you do the very organized, symmetrical, you know, grid lined presentations. So yeah, other than that, that's all I had. And so I'll just give it back to Tia.
Thank you, Catherine. I really appreciate that. All right. So we're going to move on to Chloe, as Catherine mentioned, from SLC. Take it away, Chloe.
Thanks, Tia. I just have, oh, interesting. A cloud rolled in and suddenly I got a lot darker. Yeah, that was kind of strange to watch. But yeah, I just have a couple suggestions for the essay portion of this. I know that that's something a lot of people get nervous about. I think there's an expectation, especially when you're writing for an award or something that's even worth a lot of credit in a class. We put this pressure on ourselves to write something perfect, something that sounds great right from the start. I would like to push back on that just a little bit. I think especially for something like this, we really want to see you responding to the prompt on a personal level, really taking the readings and the research to heart, really thinking through what your response is, not just what sounds good on paper. So I encourage you spend a lot of time up front thinking about what you want to say. Spend time when you're reading the resources, take notes, not just on what the articles say, but how you feel about them. I like to even just keep a journal on the side of whatever reading I'm doing and just respond to it like, ooh, this really resonates with me. This reminds me of this experience I've had. And maybe even jot down the page that made you think of that, but really think about your own response first. Because really the way it sounds comes later. Even the organization can come later. As others have mentioned, we at the SLC are here to help with that stuff. We can help you with the citations, the organization, polishing up the language, the writing itself. So really try to put as much time as you can in up front, and I think it will be really valuable. And I will share my email address in the chat. If you have any questions about the writing, if you maybe want to set something up and go through your essay together, even if you want to brainstorm ideas, you can reach out to the SLC or to me directly. So yeah, I'll drop those emails in the chat. I think that's all I have, Tia.
Thank you, Chloe. Truly appreciate it. So I've dropped a few emails in the chat so far, and Chloe's going to drop hers in there. We have Martha Neff. She's the director of the Learning Commons, which encompasses the SLC and the library. Martha, do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Not really, but except for if you are doing research and you want to talk through maybe finding something a little bit different, or if you're struggling finding something, I am definitely the person to ask.
Thank you so much, Martha. All right, we're going to move on to Andrea Slaslarski, who is in art education and a DEI I.D.E.A committee member. Take it away, Flu.
Thanks, Tia. I just want to reiterate, Chloe, I think that was a great thing that you mentioned to students, and I want all students to hear this even in your courses. Writing, you don't sit down and write your perfect draft right away. And just, I know that's a big mental hoop. I teach this a lot in art ed, that it stops a lot of students from getting there. So really listen to Chloe when she's saying, just get your proposal out there, and you have time to refine and to keep editing. In terms of art ed, you know, I just love being another resource here as someone who has some experience in looking at research and writing about research. So, you know, thinking out of the box too with your proposals. In our ed, we think a lot about creating art and also creating research. You know, is that going to be an avenue that you can explore with your proposal? Creating art and kind of like writing about it and sharing it, I think are all really great examples that, you know, students can apply to this. I also wanted to reiterate, and I know we talked about this before, and Tia mentioned, this is open up to all REMCAT students. So just to hear that too, that, you know, diversity is all the diverse perspectives that we bring into our work here. So take some time and journal and think about like what this really means to you, or how you could use your art or research to submit a proposal. Because the more, you know, examples we can get, the more students, persistence examples, the more like rich and diverse, like we're all going to learn from each other is going to be. And I'll drop my email in the chat too. I'm not part of the SLC, but please reach out to me too if you'd like me to review a paper, or, you know, look at your research, or, you know, think about, you know, how you want to kind of come at this. I love art education because it is kind of a cool bridge between research and creating. So think about, is there like, you know, think outside the box. Do you have a proposal for maybe like a workshop or another way that you would like to incorporate your research into this proposal? Like, how would you show this to other people? How would you engage other people? I think it'd be a really, really unique perspective from students. So thanks, Tia.
Thank you, Flu. That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to move along to hopefully some technical, maybe possibly application issues with Leah.
Hey, so I really come at this whole thing from, you know, my perspective of being a REMCAT alum, studying graphic design, and also an illustrator. And so I kind of have a lot to offer in terms of some of the stuff that Catherine touched on a little bit as well. So when it comes to building your portfolio and collecting all those pieces and representing them, you know, I think the key here is to make things look as professional as possible, really super clean, polished, taking really well lit photographs of your work and assembling them in a way that you want to be, you know, considered seriously. So I think taking some time to really construct that presentation is important. So if you ever want feedback on your presentation or the photographs you've taken of your work, definitely feel free to schedule an appointment with me. Even if you just want to talk about the work itself, creative mentoring appointments are something that I love to talk about the work and how it relates directly to the theme of persistence. Artist statements as well, although I'm not as strong of a writer or a writing tutor as Chloe, I really like to talk about how your artist statement connects to the work that you're creating, and how to also make that look really pretty in a presentation format as well. So I think presentation can go a really long way in terms of showing your work. If you made the work, you might as well put it together in a really pretty package, right? So I think that's key. So if anyone ever has any questions about InDesign or any program that you're using, I think, you know, like if you're using Prezi or some type of format to put those presentations together, I can definitely help with that. So yeah, keep us in mind. I'm going to drop in a link to we have a tip sheet on digital portfolios specifically. It's not just for, you know, I.D.E.A. I think this will be helpful for you in the future for any type of digital portfolio that you will ever put together. So definitely use that. And then I'm also going to pop in my email as well if you guys ever want to schedule an appointment with me to talk about any of this stuff.
Thanks, Leah. Could you also drop in how to schedule an appointment with the SLP?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to pop in the link to our scheduling software, as well as a tip sheet that we have that kind of guides you through step by step how to make an appointment with us. But it's pretty easy. But again, if you have any questions or run into any issues scheduling, you can email any one of us in the SLC and we'll get you set up.
Thanks, Leah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. We have Blake with advising here. Blake, did you have anything to share with the groups as far as best practices or frequent Q&A that you received on your end?
Yeah, so I've received a couple of common questions that Sue and I kind of thought would be the case over this past day from kind of email correspondence. A lot of students are concerned about GPA requirements and like who can apply. And I'll echo what Sue said. This award is meant for everyone. We worked hard to troubleshoot some of the award logistics. So really anyone can apply. There are no GPA requirements other than potentially being in good academic standing at RIMCAD, which is a 2.0 minimum GPA. And then if you're part-time, full-time, 3/4 time, like there's still an award for you. So don't be afraid to apply. It is for everyone. I think as long as you review the award requirements thoroughly, pick an option that works best for you. I know we're kind of coming down to the last couple of days for submissions, so really take advantage of the double opportunity to either write a paper or submit some sort of proposal, because again, this is your project, your award. Figure out how it best fits into your practice, whether you're an interior designer, a fine artist, or even an illustrator or more.
Thanks, Blake. Totally agree with
Yeah.
that. Fantastic. And now we have Hope, who is a student as well as a peer tutor in the SLC. Hope, we want to hear all of your questions, answers, all of the things, your suggestions. So take the floor.
Yeah, hey, I'm Hope. I think when I was reading through like the proposal and everything, some things did come up that I think would be important to address. And that is how to come up with an idea for this. Like, how do you turn a word into art or something? So what I like to do when I think of these things is, I don't know, I guess meditate in a sense. Is just like keep thinking of the word and like, what does that mean to me? And then how can I put that either into like written or maybe like a sculpture or some sort of like artwork to show that. But I think it's very important to find that basically thesis statement of what this is really meaning to you, because then it's just gonna help everything else just like snowball forward and really engage you in it. And I think that it could all, whether you're going for like paper or the artwork piece, I mean, it's going to be hard to figure that out either way. And if you do need to make art pieces for a paper or for the proposal, try thinking while you're making those pieces, try thinking like, what does this really mean to me? How is this relating to the persistence? And then write something towards that. But yeah, I mean, that's, I think, all the thoughts that I really have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hope. I really appreciate that. We also have Anna. Hi, Anna. Anna participated in the 2020 or 2021. So hard to record. 2021, our first RIMCAD symposium. Anna, is there anything you'd like to share about your experience, about the process, about just connecting your scholarship to your practice?
Well, first of all, the resources here at RIMCAD are like unbelievable. Like when I came to the first meeting, I was like, what? You're doing what for me? Like that's like, I have a little bit of experience with academia. That doesn't happen. So I haven't worked with Chloe, but I'm sure that she would be great to help with, writing the essay. And Leah was really helpful. I did the cis female drag queen, and Leah really helped me build the sculpture. As like a new art student, I was nervous about that, so she really helped me. And I think the other thing that I would say is that you should just try it, because I think that it's a great experience. I won last year and I was confused, but then I was like, yes, I did it. So I think it's just a great opportunity. And then, you know, like Andrea was saying, just like it's really important for artists, and especially like as an art ed person, to get involved and to actually like present work at like conference like situations, because it's something that you need. So that's it. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much. And I know, you know, the symposium is different than the I.D.E.A award, but we'd love to inspire all students to apply to both. And, you know, if you don't win the I.D.E.A award, you could take that to the symposium, or vice versa. If you submitted to the symposium last year, and, you know, you'd like to submit to the I.D.E.A award this year, do that too. I think they're all opportunities for expression, for research, for understanding, and for connecting with community. And I'm having the dark clouds on this side of Denver right now as well. What I'd like to do now is open it up for any questions, and our panel or myself should be able to answer them for any students or even the panel. Are there any questions?
I had a question from another student and want to just throw it out there because I feel like it is a common sentiment. What would like a fully completed application look like? Is it PDF form? Is it, I know it's submitted via the form, but what does the I.D.E.A committee want?
So I would say a completed application has name, contact, making sure all of the files are uploaded correctly with the parameters that have been included, that the theme is considered, and major specificity is not necessary. However, to consider your major or your department, I think helps with your practice and professional practice at that. So your studio practice and your professional practice. So thinking about why you're here at RimCAD, you know, whether you're a freshman and you're just getting started, or you're a senior and you're moving into more portfolio-based, presentation-based requests for proposals in your professional career. So I think that, and making sure that the student has read the rubrics that are included in the form at the bottom, at the end, so you know that, okay, you can double check to make sure that you have, you know, considered those things as well. Thanks, Blake. I had a question come in from a student, and the question was, do you have to be of a marginalized, what does that mean? Marginalized demographic. Can white guys apply? And here at RimCAD, we consider 28 different facets of diversity. So I think being able to associate those, you know, and review those facets, which are located in our diversity statement and in our toolkit, that is something that, you know, an applicant should also consider. Some of those examples include a military, parent, trans, LGBTQIA, BIPOC, and I know there's a lot of acronyms. So that's the lesbian, gay, trans, bisexual, community. There is the Black, Indigenous, people of color. There are military. There are, I mean, there's also, you know, thinking about age, and there are 28 facets. So I could run them all down, but I'm sure that, you know, that's a part of what we need to also consider. Do you have any other questions? The due date. Oh, go ahead, Slew, and then we'll talk about the due date.
I was just gonna piggyback a little bit more on what you were saying and what Hope was saying too. I really think that having some sort of like journaling prompt or reflection meditation prompt that Hope said, like, I think that's gonna be a great start in just thinking through whether it connects to your department or just, you know, think from your own experiences. There's so many different facets that we can feel about in diversity here at RMCAD. So, you know, if you're starting from like a self-reflective journaling spot, I think you're going to come up with some really cool ideas. And then in terms of completed proposal, I just dropped in the chat a PDF of a proposal that I recently completed, for a couple of reasons. One, to show that there are just lots of ways that you can organize your information or address like the concerns that are, you know, that like a proposal would want to see. And then also just show that like this is a really cool professional practice. So piggybacking more on like what Anna was saying, like get some of this practice right now here while you have so much support, because this is going to be a really cool skill set that you can take into your professional career. And that's all. Thanks, Tia.
Thanks, Lou. We have a date of Sunday, right? October the 3rd as a deadline. So that's going to be this week. And I know that's a few days, but I have great high hopes that everyone has something maybe that you've considered in a class that you could dive into deeper. You know, there's research that you're always doing as a student at RMCAD, so utilize those assignments as well to kind of dig into this larger conversation.
If I could, for just a second, Tia, I agree very much on what you just said about utilizing the work that you've already done. Think about those essays that you've written, use what you've already got, especially on such a crunch that we've got now, right, as far as time. But also I wanted to just also say again that as far as the SLC, we're all here. We've got open schedules pretty much, so that even if you do feel crunched on time, the next couple of days we're open to talk to and have available to you. So use the resources you got.
Thank you, Catherine. And I'll wrap up with saying that those who apply for the I.D.E.A award will present in our I.D.E.A lounge, which will be recorded and shared with our community. So that's also an opportunity, even if you don't win, to share your research. And it's very similar to the symposium. And I think it's an opportunity to create critical discourse around persistence and around artists that are working in that field. So if we don't have any more questions, there are tons of resources in the chat. We've shared our email addresses, and I want to say, let's see, I did not do that now. And I look forward to having everyone apply, and tell your friends to apply, work on something together to apply. And we look forward to seeing and reading all of your research and submissions. Okay, I hope everyone enjoys their afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Please reach out, please use your resources. We're all here to help. All right, have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.